Are live. Once again, it is the Field of 68's Best Bets live stream. My name is Rob Dauster. I'm joined once again by the handsome and lovable Jeffrey Goodman. Jeffrey, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, like day 3 in Charleston. It was beautiful out yesterday. I just got my iced coffee. Already kind of went through it here, and I was looking forward to the big Hauser versus Hauser matchup tonight. We're not going to get that, but I'm still smiling despite not getting Joey versus Sam Hauser. I'm okay. I'm going to make it through today, even without that big time matchup.
So tonight's slate is kind of dry for COVID-19 reasons, which is something that we are going to have to get used to during the college basketball season. So before we dive fully into the slate tonight, I just kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. Give me your 90-second recap, favorite moments from last night, most biggest impressions, biggest takeaways, and just kind of what you thought about the games and stuff. Because it was a great night of hoops.
Well, Mitchell, our crack producer, told me that I went 8-1 yesterday. So let's start there, right? Let's start there. Whoever actually followed my picks is feeling good, and that's part of the reason I'm smiling right now, right? I mean, let's be honest. We want to win some money for everybody who's watching. And yesterday, I held down my part. Finally, I've been in a little bit of a cold spell, and you did well too, Rob. You weren't at the level of me, but. You know,
I wasn't, but I was heavy on Illinois' money line, and I was heavy on Iowa -3. So like I got myself back into the black for the season as a whole. Hopefully everybody else did as well.
Anyway, all right. To your question, a lot of stuff to talk about yesterday. We'll go through kind of the Cliff Notes version here, but most impressive to me, and I tweeted it, and people kind of came back at me, but I thought Tennessee was as impressive as anybody because it was their first game, and they were able to come back off quarantine and beat a pretty good Colorado team that's a veteran Colorado team. So I was really impressed with your Vols. They're not my Vols. They are your Vols this year.
Yeah, So I watched that game. I had it up on the second screen during the Kansas Creighton game, and their defense, like they're going to be so good defensively. On the offensive end of the floor, like it's still very much a work in progress.
Yeah.
They look like a team that has had like 5 practices on the offensive end of the floor, and by the end of it, they look like me after I get off a 45-minute Peloton ride where their legs it wasn't there. It was one of those games where I feel like they when they were getting onto the bus to leave the arena, they took that first step and their legs almost gave out on them as they were trying. Like you could tell they were tired.
They were, and rightfully so. So that was an impressive one for me. Obviously, I don't know if it was more impressive Illinois' performance or just, again, you called it. Listen, give you credit. You were ahead of well, you flipped it, I should say, with Duke.
I did.
Originally. You flipped it quickly. And sometimes that's the hard part, right? We do these preseason rankings, and they're paper rankings. And then when there are games played, and this is why my top 25 looks different than your top 25, but I say you base it on results. So you say, well, you could lose 5 games, but I still think you got a good team, so I'm going to keep you in the top 10. I say, hey, you lose to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's going to move up until they lose, which they did last night, and then they get bounced.
Well, your top 25 is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. So I'm not going down that road again. Yeah. We've had enough battles about that. We don't need to do that today, man. It's a good day. We had a good one yesterday. You know what it was? It was the new Lucky Home Field apparel tee. That's what it was.
I think it might have been.
And here's the thing. I'm making.
Are you wearing it again?
Not right now. I'm saving it for the games tonight. I can't put it on for the stream.
All right.
There's only so much luck. We went through the luck of the other Lucky Home Field apparel tee too quickly. So I have to ration this one out. I can't burn all the luck on live streams. I got to wait until the games actually start. I'm trying to make sure that I want to make the luck last, right? You got to contain the luckness. I don't know what that means.
The luckness.
So my biggest takeaway was one, Duke is kind of like fulfilling the prophecy that I thought would happen with them. They're not there. On paper, it looks like the pieces fit. Wendell Moore is not ready. Their freshman guards are not ready. Their bigs are not ready. Right. I will say this: Matthew Hurt is a little tougher than I expected, and Jalen Johnson's got some dog in him. He did not back down from Kofi
Those
Coburn.
two are going to be fine, Rob. Those two, I don't think either of us are worried about. Nobody should be worried about.
I'm worried about Hurt defensively because he had such a mountain.
Totally.
Yeah, he had such a mountain to climb that like he's gotten better. Jalen Johnson's got to make shots from the perimeter. I don't know if he ever will. Basically, all he did.
He has to, Rob. I think everybody else has to around him, and that's the problem. We wouldn't be focusing on him having to make shots from the perimeter as much if other guys could make shots, whether it was Wendell Moore, Jeremy Rhodes. Jeremy Rhodes still, again, like I said about Devin Askew, the keys for both Duke and Kentucky are if those point guards don't take dramatic steps forward by really mid-January, those two teams are in trouble.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right on that. But one last thing I want to touch on. We talked a little bit about Kansas. Jalen Wilson is awesome. We talked a little bit about Creighton. I'm not all that worried about them. I think their biggest issue, like Christian Bishop is better than I think anybody expected. I think he can really thrive in that role. Yep. And Mitch Ballack, like the threes are going to come. Like
he just missed them. He missed easy ones.
Mm-hmm. That's not going to – he's too good for that to happen for too long.
I think the key to them is Kalkbrenner. I think he's not ready yet. But again, if he can be a 15, 18-minute game guy that, again, they can change the game with him. They don't have to play small all the time. They can put out that 7-footer, and he's skilled. He's just not ready yet. But by February, if he can be a major factor, Creighton's a different team.
Yeah, and Kansas ended up playing David McCormick off the floor, but it was after he had 14 points in like the first 18 minutes.
Early, and then he stopped after that.
Yeah, he bullied people. The thing, like, if McCormick just stops fading away and tries to dunk everything, go up like you're going to try to dunk everything.
That's right.
And like he's going to be good. Well, I don't know if he'll ever be good, but he'll be more effective and more efficient.
Listen, last night he averaged what did he get last night? 12 and 7, and he missed a bunch of.
He had 14. Yeah, he had 14
and 7. I mean, he should get 14 and 7 every game by default because of Bill Self's offense and the way they want to play. Can they always play that way? No, but he wants to get him the ball, and he's got veteran guard. Again, just the Marcus Garrett point guard thing just scares the crap out of me. As far as
they don't have an option. Like, what can they do?
Well, isn't it incredible though that to me that they're in this spot that they don't have a big time point guard? Like I just feel like, again, Michigan State and Kansas are two programs that should be prepared for these situations and should always have another really good point guard coming in. Neither of which, I mean, Michigan State doesn't really have a point guard. And in my opinion, Kansas, I've had this argument with Bill Self a little bit. He thinks Garrett's really good at the point, or thought that a couple of weeks ago before the season started. And I was like, I'm not buying that. I think he's good at everything else, like we talked about. I think he's a great defender, a good piece, but not a frontline point guard.
Here's my take on Garrett as a point guard. He can make the passes that you need to make as a point guard. He can find the weak side shooter. Yeah. He can drive and dump it off, but he doesn't always make the right read. And if like the thing about a great point guard like a Cassius Winston was he always, every single time he made the right read. Garrett can make the passes, doesn't always make the right read.
It's the feel of the position. Either you have it or you don't. You can't learn that to me. Either you're kind of born with that early enough or and you have it. And Marcus Garrett just, to me, doesn't have that where he can make – you're right. He can make the basic pass. He can make the simple play, but can he make the kind of the second read type play?
Yeah. So 30 seconds real quick. Iowa shot about 90 for 91 from three last night. Yeah. And Luka Garza did not really play all that well, and they still ran North Carolina out of the gym. My top-down 30-second take is that North Carolina spent too much time focusing on Luka in the paint, understandably, and it messed up all of their defensive rotations. They gave Iowa far too like an unacceptable amount of wide open threes, but Iowa still they're still capable of having a 10-minute stretch where they give up 37 points, which is what they did at the start of the second half against North Carolina. So Iowa's good, but their issues, they're basically what we thought they were. They can score a ton of points, but they're going to give up a lot of points too.
Pick your poison. Pick your poison when you play Iowa. I didn't think, like you said, I didn't think Carolina needed to start that way. They've got, as we talked about yesterday, they've got 4 bigs. I mean, Garrison Brooks played yesterday. Was he 100%? Maybe not, but I would have started out rotating in all 4 of them, banging on Luka Garza, honestly giving up 20 fouls. I would have played that game and said, "Hey,
I think they used up 16 of them.
Yeah.
15 of them. Luka went through a lot of guys, a lot of bodies.
He did.
All right, so
tonight,
tonight's lines, I have 3 that I love, and then like 5 or 6 that I'll just mention and kind of get your quick hits on. The first one for me, I have all favorites tonight. I hate it, but it kind of just is the way that it played out in tonight's slate. First one, biggest game, Florida State -3 against Indiana. I just think they have too much length, too much athleticism. The way they play defense, they switch everything. They kind of overplay. They force you into a situation where you have to have guys be able to make plays one-on-one, and I just don't think that Indiana has the perimeter playmakers to be able to win matchups one-on-one. Their winner, the guy where they can win a matchup is Trace Jackson Davis, but you got to have point guards to be able to get them the ball. I don't think they got that, so I'll take Florida State -3.
Don't like it either way. I just feel like Florida State first game, I don't have a great feel. By the way, Rob, they did lose 2 lottery picks. I know everybody thinks Florida State's going to be good every single year, and they probably will be, but they're still dealing with the loss of Devin Vassell and Pat Williams, among other guys, among their point guard.
And they lost Trent Forrest, too.
Exactly. So I just think it may take time. Indiana's played a few games. They've got an advantage over them right now, so I'm staying away from that completely.
It's also a revenge game. Remember, Florida State went into Bloomington and got their asses kicked last year. So
my favorite pick of the day,
what's that?
Georgia Tech against Nebraska. Given 1.5. Georgia Tech coming off that win against Kentucky. Remember, Josh Pastner didn't really practice with contact in the preseason, but now that they've been able to play, obviously that takes care of that. Nebraska, to me, not a very good team. Not a very good team. Georgia Tech is a good team. They just, again, Pastner went with an approach that nobody was going to win games with coming out of the gate. You can't practice without contact every day and be effective when you come out of the gates playing games. So I'm taking Georgia Tech laying 1.5 there.
Where is that? Is that in Nebraska?
No, I think it's at Georgia Tech.
I honestly didn't. It's at Nebraska. So
okay.
Yeah, I probably – yeah, and right now the line I have is Georgia Tech +1. So that's just a pure stay away from me. If North Carolina was getting points, I would probably take the North Carolina money line at home. Yeah. But that's a pure stay away from – I don't –
Yeah, I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the +1.5, and all those rabid Nebraska fans aren't going to affect Josh Pastner and his shield.
All right, I like Richmond -9. It's about the cap of where I would take it. But Richmond just is a top 20 team in the country. They're old. They execute. They're playing a Northern Iowa team that lost their first 3 games of the season in the Angry Lawnmowers of South Dakota Classic or whatever that fucking tournament was called.
Just call it the Bad Boy.
The Bad Boy. And they are going to be without A.J. Green. A.J. Green, their best player, potential pro, has a hip injury, and I don't know if his season is going to be done. They're kind of working through that decision right now, but I'll fade Northern Iowa without their best player. The one thing that scares me, and the reason I don't want to go any higher, is because Northern Iowa does have other pieces. Ben Jacobson has had like 10 days to try to figure out an answer. So I wouldn't go any higher than 9, but I think fading UNI in this spot makes a lot of sense.
I'm with you on that one. I like Richmond as well. Another one I like, a game that was just put together yesterday, Stephen F. Austin getting 23 against Baylor. Is that number correct, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
That's a high number for a good mid-major. I know Baylor's look great. I love Baylor too. But Kyle Keller, remember, they did go into Duke last year and beat Duke. It's a good program, one of the best mid-major programs traditionally over the last decade. And I think – I'm not saying it's a letdown game for Baylor. But, again, they haven't prepared for Stephen F. The players haven't prepared. It's a quick turn. So I like Stephen F. getting 23 here.
All right, the last one that I am going to be on heavy is Eastern Illinois -4.5. Eastern Illinois has been pretty good this year. They hung with Dayton at Dayton. They hung with Wisconsin in Madison. They're playing at Evansville, and Evansville is just terrible, man. They've lost 2 games this season to teams that are ranked outside the top 300 on KenPom. Obviously, they had everything that happened with Walter McCarty last year, who got fired. They went 0-18 in the Valley last year. Their best player transferred out to Memphis. And that's just a bad program. Ken Pom has it at -7 in a game where the total is projected to be in the 130. So that 2.5-point difference actually has more value than in what a higher scoring game would be. So Eastern Illinois -4.5. That line, it makes absolutely no sense to me. So I'll be on. I don't even know what Eastern Illinois is. The EIU Fighting.
You're on Jay Spoonhours. Yeah, you're rooting for Jay the Spoon. Bring the spoon out.
Baby. The spoon.
Bring the spoon out. All right, I got a couple more that I like. I like Oregon giving 25 against FAMU. Oregon's finally not whole, but they got LJ Figueroa back. Will Richardson's still out. They're laying 25. Like that one. I like Abilene Christian. And you're going to say to me, are you crazy? Texas Tech is only laying 16. But I'm betting on Chris Beard and Joe Golding are boys. They go floating down the river together every offseason with Chris Ogden. I don't think Chris Beard is going to run it up against his boy Joe Golding. I think he'll call off the dogs if they're up 20+, and it'll be a late cover for Joe Golding and Abilene Christian.
Betting on the back door, baby. Betting on the back door.
I'm going with it here. So I'm going Joe Golding to cover the 16. What else do I like? Is there anything else?
The only other one that I'll mention is Southeast Missouri. They're playing Lipscomb for the second time in 3 days. They just beat Lipscomb by 5 at home. Lipscomb does not have their starting backcourt, and Southeast Missouri is getting 7.5.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? All right.
All
I got about 5 of them there. And the other one I kind of like, Boise. Boise getting 4.5, BYU. I kind of like it.
I do. Boise's more talented. I just it's a tough spot.
Tough.
I don't know if I trust Boise. I'm staying away from that one. I looked at it though. If I was going to be on someone, it would be on Boise. I don't think that I personally am going to invest in that.
All right. There you have it.
All right, Jeffrey. Good talking to you. Let's get lucky tonight, baby. Home Field Apparel T-shirts. That's where all the luck lies.
Keep it going.